Do you want an introduction? No.
I don't know. They all know where I've been, I think. So, yeah, I was out in Wyoming for 4 months, as I think everybody knows. And I forgot my flash drive at home this morning, so I don't have pictures of the Grand Canyon trip, but I do have a few of just what my life was like when I was out there. So, I guess I don't know where to start. I'll start with the pictures and see how long that takes and then go from there. This is driving into LaGrange, the little town. And so this is LaGrange. It's a tiny town. It's pretty cool. Once you get into LaGrange, the road changes from black to red. And I don't know why it's like that, but I thought that was pretty cool. The population is about 400 or so people, so it's really tiny. But right before I left, it started snowing one night, and so we got snow. The weather out there is just really weird, I found. One day it can be 60 or 70 degrees, and the next day it's snowing, so. This was kind of just like the bluffs and the scenery that you see out there. This is my Sunday school class. So for my Christian service, I taught Sunday school for a little church out there, about half the size of this church, if on their good days. And I was very blessed to have about 7 girls every Sunday morning, and it was probably one of the best things about being out there is just getting to invest in their lives and have them invest in mine. I think they blessed me and taught me so much more than I taught them. It was pretty wonderful. We just did Sunday school in the house of the pastor and his wife, and this is their older daughter, Evie, and this is Amelia, and right after I left, they had another little girl, so that was pretty fun. And that's Brooke, Sydney, and little Jacob. He came to the last Sunday school we had. He was really young. And that's all of them. And then the one right there is Maddie. She's the oldest one. So I think a lot of you guys heard when I was out there right before I came home, I had appendicitis and was at the hospital for less than 24 hours, but it was definitely not a fun experience at first. But it became one of the best experiences with being out there. Megan and Morgan and Ruth, some of my friends from school, took me to the hospital. And this is about 11:30 at night. They were line dancing in front of my bed while we were waiting for results to come back. And so it was pretty fun. I was laying there taking pictures of them. And this was after I got out of surgery, and Megan ended up staying the night there with me. And that's my thrill with being stuck with a needle. So we got this is what our chapel area is like. We had a group come sing, and it was a really fun Western group of guys, and they're pretty cool. Definitely my type of music, and we all sat on the back steps, or the 3 of us. So this is the last night before we left. I have videos on my phone, but it was pretty fun. We were all being goofy because it was like the last night and last time a lot of us would see each other, and so they were pushing chairs down, and we did mattress dynamo, so it was pretty fun. Everyone set up their mattresses straight. One person would start, and it'd whack the next person, and it went down the hallway. We had almost 20 mattresses there. And double, oops, I don't know what I just did. Okay. This is Megan. She's probably my closest friend out there, and she's going to be my roommate this fall. So she's a lot of fun. This was the flight home, my first time flying in a commercial airplane, and it was a lot of fun. It was really scary at first too, but yeah, I don't really know. It's just, it was a great experience to be out there, and just being away from home was very different. It was very challenging for me because I'm very much a homebody. I don't like leaving my home and the security and comfort of it. But it was really amazing. The first day there, I made 3 friends, and those were the 3 I kind of stuck out with the whole time I was there. And just really good to help me grow, and they had been there, so they helped me figure out everything, where I was supposed to go and what I was supposed to do, and just really helped encouraging me when I was struggling with loneliness or fears that I was dealing with. And so, yeah. And the Grand Canyon trip was amazing. There was 9 of us students that went down to the Grand Canyon. And we took 2 vehicles down to Denver, Colorado, where we met up with an older couple. And we got 2 big vans. And we ended up with 18 people total on the way down there. And it was a very long trip. And it was crazy. The team that ended up going, none of us were people that really intermingled at all. So it was very different trying to get along with people that you didn't know very well and trying to figure out how we all worked together. But we ended up, every one of us pretty much got along pretty well. And just, it was amazing to be in such a small, tight-knit group. Like, we met every morning and every evening to kind of debrief and plan the day and what we were going to do. And it was just amazing how that just drew you together. Like, by the end of the week, we felt like we were brothers and sisters pretty much. And it was just really cool to see how a small group like that could work together. And our week down there, we got down there on a Monday, and we got signs ready and went out and told people we were having kids clubs. And so we started having kids clubs. I think we had 40. The most was the kids that we had one night. And that was pretty good. They say there's about 600 people that live down there. It doesn't seem like that. It seems like maybe 100. But it was, the kids go everywhere, and we went swimming with them every single day, even though the water was still really cold. But they just loved having us down there, and it was definitely a struggle with them because they didn't listen. They didn't have any discipline in their lives, and they didn't want to listen to anybody. And they would say, no, they're not doing this, or no, they're not going to sit down and listen, and they just get up and go do stuff. And I got called more names that week than I think I've ever gotten called. But it was still, even though they would call you names, you could tell they loved having us there. And we taught them Bible songs, and it was pretty funny because one minute they'd start swearing at you, and then the next minute they'd be singing, Jesus loves me, this I know. And it was really cool. They just would sing that around, and then they'd go back to swearing. But yeah, I don't really know what else to say. So I don't know if you guys.
Can we ask a question?
Sure.
I have one. You're out in that area out there. Do you have any problem? You're kind of a critter person. Snakes, scorpions, no deal with any of those?
Down in the Grand Canyon, we saw a scorpion, but one of the guys smushed it before I really got to see it. So I found a lizard, and I actually caught one when I was down the Grand Canyon. It was really cool. It had bright blue spots all over it. And one of the natural animal people that was down there, he said it was a rare lizard. So it was pretty fun that I caught that. But other than that, wasn't really critters that I saw down there. The tribe, she asked me to explain the tribe that we went to visit. To me, they just seemed like normal people. They have a different belief than, of course, like religion. So as far as the tribe, what they look like, they don't really work. They don't have jobs. They're just government supported. So they watch a lot of TV. They eat a lot of really bad food because they just buy the cheap food that they can, and so they don't really do much. They have a lot of horses that they ride sometimes, but their life really just, they don't have a big purpose in their life. But they believe in spirits and stuff down there, and it was really sad. We went to a funeral. We got asked to sing for the funeral because it was a Christian lady, and they didn't have many Christians down there. So our group sang for it, and when we walked in, there was people sitting there facing the casket, just nobody talking, just really quiet. And there's a couple tables to the side of us, and people are walking up to the casket, draping fabrics and stuff over the casket. And we found out later those were dresses and shawls and stuff like scarves. And they said that everything on the casket and what people were putting on the tables would be either buried inside the casket with her, or it would be alongside the casket outside if they couldn't fit it in. And that was to help her on with her next life. And that's kind of what they believe. And the pastor down there has an amazing story. He was very big into it. He would eat a weed that would make him hallucinate. And this demons would talk to him, and he kept doing more of that just because it made him feel good. And he's got to the point where he didn't even need to eat the weeds to do that. And there was a missionary, American missionary down there at the time, and he somehow got this guy away from that kind of stuff. And this guy just had a big breakdown and became the pastor. And he really struggles with the persecution down there because it's so great. They want to take the church away from him and take all his property away from him too, just because they don't like it that he's a Christian trying to teach other stuff than what they believe down there. But any other questions? And to David and Julia.
Testing.
All right, so like Don
Testing,
said, we have 112 pictures. So we will try and hit some of the most important ones and kind of share the experiences that we had and just some of maybe the lessons that each one of us learned and the highlights. As you can see up here, the two of us went to Zambia, and that was through Encounter Revival Ministries, which happened for about a week and a couple of days in April. Let's just begin with the pictures, I guess. Traveling to Zambia day one. Travel time was very long. I forgot exactly how long, but very long. It was something between, to get from Washington Dulles to Zambia, it ended up being like between 15 hours and 20 hours, which
Plus
is...
bus ride, so it was several days then before, it was a day or two before we actually got there, wasn't it? It was like the next
It's
day that we
hard
got
to
there.
figure with the time zones.
Yeah, you I think
For sure.
lose 10 hours or gain 10 hours or something. But yeah.
So this is me with a few of the other Encounter team members on the plane before we lifted off to head out. And this is kind of, do you want to talk?
Sure.
There you go.
I don't know if you can see, let's see if we have a pointer. So we started off, we left from Washington, D.C., and you would think that you would just travel straight down to Addis Ababa, which is where we landed next, but what you actually have to do is come way up around the curve of the earth, come down through here, and then you can see the jet right here. And we landed in Addis Ababa, then went to Luanda, correct?
Lusaka,
Lusaka, sorry. I don't know
which
where
isn't
that's at.
up there.
Yeah, so it's actually a lot longer than it looks straight across. This is at the airport in Lusaka. Yeah, and it was crazy. We didn't think that we were going to get our bags because they were not coming and we were not coming. So finally we prayed and they brought in another shuttle and there were all our bags.
The very last shuttle to come from the plane.
And this is just driving through the streets. It was incredible. They drive like maniacs over there. And Yeah, it doesn't matter which side of the road you're on, you just go, and there's people just sitting on the curbs like this. You're traveling past them at like 50 miles an hour, and I don't know how they don't get run over. But this is the capital, correct, of Zambia. Lusaka is the capital.
Lusaka, I think so, yeah.
Yeah, and it is just incredibly poor and run down. I don't know if you can see this, but there's just trash everywhere, and these are the homes that people live in. This is what greeted me when I walked into the place where we were staying. It was actually very, very nice, but there was large critters.
That was not a proper representation of the place that we
They're like
stayed.
that. I don't know.
Oh,
We can
okay.
Go through here.
All right, and so day 1 was traveling. Day 2 was Easter Sunday. And on Easter Sunday, the team that we were with, Encounter, we split into 2 different groups and visited 2 different churches. This is us in the morning before we headed out. We were eating
We
breakfast.
would eat here and get our morning briefings before we
Yeah,
head out.
that's a main area that we kind of hung out for the whole week.
We also did, everything that we did was with the African Encounter team. They have a team down there that kind of copied ours. And so we would work together, which was very nice because they could help translate and stuff as we went to different places.
Which was very good.
Yes.
We needed it. This was the church I went to with the group I was with. And I think this is when we were leaving. It's called Countryside Bible Baptist Church. And it was about a congregation of probably 40 or 50 people. And their style of worship was much different than what I've ever been used to in the United States. As you can see, like the pointer, the ladies up there are singing. It's their version of a choir. They started all the way in the back of the church in a line and started singing their traditional worship songs, which are very spirited. They're very powerful songs, and each one of them was singing like with all their heart, which was neat to see. And they walked from the back to the front, not like going crazy with their dance moves, but they were moving back and forth, and it was just neat to see how they in their culture worshipped God in their own unique way. That like they obviously don't have to change their style of worship to ours in order to use their to be able to worship God with how they live. And as you can see, some of the kids and some of the other people there at the church, this is their church building. And from my experience being there, many churches don't even have buildings. They meet maybe in someone's house or just in an open area. So this is a nice building for a church over there. And do you want to talk at all about the church you were at?
Yeah, this was the church that I was at, and like she said, they have very different style of worship, but it's amazing because everybody's just free to worship God the way that they see fit, and it's just a wonderful culture. This is afterwards. We got to talk with the people. They do speak English. It's like their second language there. So most of the people knew English, and they, as you can see, they love anytime you pull out a camera or pictures. Oh, they love that, and they want to get pictures taken and stuff. So they were playing around with that, and you just get to love on the kids. They understand love over there because it's few and far between. But it was just a great time of worship. This lady heard that my name was David, and so this little guy's name was David, and so I was going to take a picture of him, but he was not too happy about that. And the kids, huh? Yes. The kids are just drawn to you, and they want you to take their pictures. You'll be walking along, and you just feel a little hand grab yours, and you look down, and there's just a little kid walking. He just wants to be held. And it doesn't matter the age or what, but they're just drawn to you. They want you to hold them, to love on them. So yeah, this was the church building, the churchyard, and it's just very different. There's no bathrooms, no nothing, which was different. And it was just an amazing time of being able to connect with part of the Zambia team that we were with and just the people in this area. Day 3, do you want to go through this or should I?
I can do it. Day 3, visiting the Encounter Farm, Children's Home, and School. There's a farm, a children's home, which is kind of like an orphanage, only much smaller, just like a family. There's caregivers. There's, I think, a couple of women that are native there that have taken in a few of the orphans over there, and that is the farm, the home, and a school over there is supported by Encounter here in the States. I'm not sure what that picture is for.
Again.
I think that was the morning before we left, and I'm really having a heated discussion with Katie or something. I'm not sure. I was describing something to her, I think. Anyways, this is on our way to the farm in the morning.
And it was amazing that the people knew that you were coming. The kids would hear about it, and so, half a mile away from the village, you'd start seeing these kids lining up the roads, just waiting for you, and they'd waving and just saying, "You are welcome, you are welcome," and it was just incredible. The joy that they had. The people over there are very, very friendly and open and joyful. You can walk up to anybody and talk to anybody, and it's perfectly okay. Mm-hmm. And they were so excited to see the Encounter people and the ones who had built the school and stuff. So,
yeah, this is when we were at the farm. It was a farm, but primarily what we were doing there was not necessarily with the farm. We were just a big thing that we did there was something called Unlocking Your Potential, which was a way that us as the team, we kind of all split off into groups of 3 or 4 and had a topic that we would split off. Like you can see there's a few team members here, and these are the African team members, the Zambian ones. And this group of kids, they kind of just grabbed him and just like brought him aside and were like, hey, come here. We want to tell you about something. And then they would share with the kids about a different topic. I believe you guys, this is your group. I just pointed at you, sorry.
It's okay.
This is your group.
Yeah, we were teaching the spiritual aspect of unlocking your potential because over there the poverty is very much a mindset, and the people that are trapped in it, it's so ingrained that you can't change that people don't even try, and even when they become a Christian, they live with the same lifestyle. Which was really interesting to kind of work with. So just saying, you don't have to always live this way. There is hope if you want to change. And so we were trying to teach that through these classes, and we would do this throughout all the week whenever there was kids to teach.
If there was a group of kids, then Artie would be like, hey, do your group, do your Unlocking Your Potential group. And we'd be like, okay. So this group, your group is spiritual. My group was educational. And with my group, kind of our push for when we would talk to the kids was just to let them know that even with the limited school that they might be getting, that doesn't have to limit their desire to learn in whatever way they can, whether it's through being in school or through learning from the people that they know in their lives that they can learn from. Basically, it was stay in school and be driven to learn, and that they can, not just that they have to, but that they can, because like David was saying, they grow up in a culture where there's just not as many opportunities as like here in the States we have, and but with the opportunities that they do have, what we were trying to just encourage them in is just to take advantage of that as much as they can. So that was when we were at the farm. This is a couple of the kids there.
Those pictures.
As well as that one. Some more of the kids. They were always they always were having a great time, and they were so joyful. They always had smiles on their faces. One other thing we did there was, with the kids, we brought a bunch of supplies. that we had brought with us over from the States, like toys and candy and like hygienic products. And while we were at the farm, we had all the kids come through, and we each gave them a few pieces of candy, a toy, some like toothbrush and toothpaste. And this is a couple of them with those that they were given. This is the children's home that I was talking about. We were there, and even though the children's home had already kind of begun and they'd been in operation, Artie was there to give it like an official ceremony. So as you can see, there's some red tape there that he cut. But that's the children's home. And this person right there is Leonard Bwalia. And similar to Artie, who's right there, he is the director of the Zambian Encounter Revival Ministries. And he is so amazing. He's so driven and so passionate about what he does over there, to just reach out to other believers and to encourage them, and to, much like Artie does here in the States, to have a group of people that he just teaches and is able to show them or encourage them to stay in their spiritual walk, and to stay in the Word of God. That's the children's home. This is some of the team members and kids at the children's home. Okay, so this girl, her name is Judith, and while we were at the farm, she kind of stuck herself to me a little bit, and those are my sunglasses on her head. But right like from the beginning when we got there, she kind of just was interested in me a little bit. And we were busy, we were doing the groups and all that, but she followed me around, and at one point, she doesn't know very much English, but at one point we kind of connected, and we were talking a little bit about just what was going on around us. And then we would just walk alongside each other. And at one point she was like, I forget exactly how she said it. I think she looked at me and she was like, friend? And I was like, yeah, friend. I will be your friend. And that made her so happy that I would be willing to be a friend to her. And this is shortly before we left. She was really interested in my sunglasses, and so I let her try them on. And I felt so bad. I didn't want to ask her for them back, so I kind of just let her have them. So, well, I felt horrible calling her my friend and then being like, hey, give me my sunglasses back. So, and then right before we left, she'd kind of split off some, and right before we left, she came back and she sought me out, and she was like, she just approached me and she just gave me a hug, which was very memorable. All right, this is at school. These are all, well, mostly, I think, because we went to a school later on, and these are probably many of the students, but we were near a village, so there were many, like, mothers and children who came just because we were there. They were like, wow, Americans, bus, let's go check it out. And so a lot of people welcomed us at the school. Do you want to continue talking about the school?
So yeah, while we were there, we had the chance to bring in a lot of supplies, and many of these kids don't have shoes or anything, so we were able to bring in Crocs. And kind of a neat story, the way we got these Crocs was there was a little girl, I think, how old was she, 10 or 11 here in the States, that decided to go and knock on doors and ask for money to raise money for these Crocs. And she raised enough money for over 100 pair of Crocs, I think, and gave it. And so we were able to go and give these shoes to kids that had probably never had shoes before, and just see on the joy on their faces. We were able to give them clothes and things like school supplies and candy and other things. This is a lineup of kids coming to get their stuff, and we could each take them through the line and stuff. And just to be able to, give joy to these people who don't have a lot, as we would look at it, to be joyful about.
This is some of their school materials. This is at their school, in one of their schoolrooms. They have these papers set up as some sort of reference, I'm assuming, for, there's a picture and there's like some I think they're trying to describe sets, like a set of something. So that's just I would assume, some way that they're being taught, a way that they're being taught.
This is a group of kids with all their school supplies, and they got just very, very joyful to have the gifts that they did. It was very neat to be able to just go and talk with the kids and hear what they had to say. And we went to a village that Encounter is kind of connected with. They brought water to this village. There's a big problem over there is they don't have drinking water, and the people will just go and drink dirty water, get sick, but then go do it again, because there's no other alternative. And that's kind of what I was saying, the mindset over there. Don't drink the dirty water so you don't get sick. And you would go around and you'd see little kids with their stomachs extended because they did not have the right food. And they would be going and eating pig manure because they had nothing else to eat. And they would get sick and, they would die, but there's nobody there to take care of them. And so just trying, to change that mindset. Don't do this stuff. Just like don't have sin in your life so you can be closer to God. Don't do these things because they hurt you. And again, you can see all the kids just in everybody's arms. You walk and they just want to be held. They want to be loved. Very happy to see you.
David, go back one and say just a tiny bit about that bus.
Yes, this bus is the Zambia team's bus. Before this year, they really had no means of transportation. The team owned several bikes that the teammates were allowed to use to try to get back and forth, but it's not like here where they can just live at the campus because there really is no campus. They have to keep on kind of continuing their daily life. And it just made it very, very hard to minister without a means of transportation. So we have been raising money for a while to get this bus, and it was an ordeal because, going through all the customs stuff, they wanted an incredible amount of tax and everything. It was just not working out, but it was amazing how God worked that out through prayer and stuff until finally they were able to get the bus just a month or so before we got there.
It was a longer process than they originally intended.
Yes.
But as you can see, God provided the bus. You eventually made it there.
And so now the team is able to go out and travel to the different communities and be able to work with the people instead of, kind of being confined to where they're at. And so it was just a huge blessing there.
David, are the villages close together? Are they distances apart, miles? What's the layout?
It's distances apart. It's like you go, and even we were there in the capital city, and it was just very run down, and then you go out, and it's just country. And you just go down these little 2 tracks and come to a village or whatever, but very spaced out, and people just living in little huts, and people just walk. That's how they get around. Walk, and if they're really fortunate, they have a bicycle. So it is hard to get around, but you'd be going along at night and see people laying alongside the road because they didn't get to their destination and just sleeping there. Day 4 was the pastors' conference, and it was just kind of an invite they put out an invite to a lot of the pastors in the area, and it was incredible. If we did something like that here in the United States, do you guys want to come hear about Jesus, learn about the Bible, in an unair-conditioned room all day? Not a whole lot of people would show up, but there was hundreds every day that would just come, and they would sit there and pay attention. We had several people speaking. Artie would speak, and several of the pastors that traveled with us. And it was incredible to see the hunger for the Word of God in these pastors, because many of them have never had biblical training, ever. The only thing they know about the Bible is what they've read. And kind of a paradox there is a lot of them have a lot of head knowledge about the Bible, but they do not know how to put it into practice. They do not know what it means to live a Christian life. And so it's amazing. It's a Christian nation, and they claim Christian values, but they don't live Christian lives. Most of the teammates that we were with, the Zambian team members, didn't know their father. And just you would go along the street at night, there'd be girls all lined up down the street selling themselves for the night. And you say, and just drunkenness, the fathers are not a factor there. There's just no fathers. So it was just very, very sad to see that. And, you know, explaining to these people, if you believe something, then you have to live it out. Robbie?
David, when they went to this conference, did they, was Army speaking in that, did they get the spirit, like, had they been Christians but not spirit-filled Christians, and they would leave with the spirit of Jesus, you know?
That's hard to say. They are very, very, see, some of the pastors, a lot of the pastors are very, very strong men of God. They really are.
They have a lot of the pastors, like, they were there because they wanted to be there. They have a strong desire to grow in their own character, so that they can be leaders in their church. And I think that was a huge part of what the conference was for, was just to, like Artie and the other people that spoke, they would give messages that just gave the pastors practical advice about how they can reach out to their congregation as leaders, as men of God in their church. And that was a huge, like, that was the heart of, I think, Artie, what he was wanting, is he wants to be able to impact the pastors over there so that they can step out and be leaders.
Well, I know you said, like, they're so mindful, they know the Bible in and out,
Right.
but knowing it in and out is not like feeling. And I'm just wondering if that helps them to get the spirit, you know what I mean?
Yeah, it was amazing. We would have the chance, and we'll go through pictures later of youth conferences and stuff that we had, and especially during the youth conference, they were older than us. We were able to talk with these, you know, I was able to talk with a large group of young guys that kind of wanted to be pastors or whatever, and it was amazing, their hunger for the Bible. I stood there for hours while they just asked me question after question after question about just amazing questions about the Christian faith that they did not know how to put into practice. And then after being able to talk with them, they say, "Thank you so much for coming. You have changed my life. I now know how to live like a Christian." And so that was very, very rewarding to be able to have that personal time and see the results, because they know the Bible, they just don't have leaders to show. Yeah. So.
David, I just wanted to,
Yeah, sorry.
you know, I think we in America gets comfortable with all the stuff that we have, and even our, I mean, I think it's been said, you know, we kind of have this fair mentality of Christianity. We go to our conferences and we go to our stuff. God isn't limited by that, and I think that's something that we do well not to forget. And I would say all they have is the Bible. That's all they need.
Yeah.
Is the Bible, because the Lord can speak clearly through the Bible. And I think sometimes we get mixed up with our dance and shuffle and miss the fact of true Christianity. And I think I can go to Grand Rapids and see exactly what you explained. You see in the downtown, in you know, in the town here. I can go to Grand Rapids to see the same thing, and we're supposed to be a Christian nation as well. So we have to
Yes.
be careful a little bit with that walk, and recognize that God isn't limited by schooling or anything else. He can move in a mighty way, regardless to what tools He may allow us to use to do it in a more effective way.
Exactly.
I
And there
think-
was many pastors that, you know, you would see, and they were true men of God. And you could see the people that had made the choice, you know, I am going to be a Christian. And it was a choice, and he's exactly right. You know, if it's a choice whether you're going to follow Christ, and you don't need other people really to help you along. So yes,
The Word of
there's,
God will speak with or without other people. He's going to have His message delivered, and He's going to reach His people.
yes, and there was incredible men of God there, which was very encouraging. Singing a few songs for them. Most of the time we were actually outside. Yeah, this is how a lot of the pastors came in, or they would walk. But we got to spend most of the time outside, and we were able to draw a bunch of kids in. If you drop a soccer ball over there, then the kids come running. So that way, we were able to share the gospel a lot with them, just be with them, love on them. They just want to be held. This little girl, as soon as I walked there, I didn't know who she was. I just felt these little fingers grab my finger. And I looked down, and she just wanted me to hold her and be with her. But I had to go, so then she just stayed with her for the rest of the day. And this was a squad out that came, and we were able to share the gospel with them and just be with them a lot of the day.
Okay, can I share about this? Well, I guess it doesn't matter. So these are two girls that I met and played with outside the compound that we did a lot of our activities. And the one girl that's jumping, her name is Vivian, and the other girl is Katie. And for probably like 15 minutes, they were completely entertained by I would be like, 1, 2, 3, go. And then they would just jump across the ditch. And then they would turn around and I'd do it again and they'd jump back. And they just had a great time, like having me be the one to tell them to jump. And I didn't just play with them at this point. I played with them for a longer time. We played Duck, Duck, Goose with a few other kids. And we kind of just played tag and just I held them. And it's an interesting thing to be able to have that opportunity to be kind of a big sister, or maybe to them more like a mother to these two girls or to any other kid that was there. Because like when I was putting some of these pictures on, it just hit me that I played with them then, but I came home and their lives are still going on. So I think that definitely had an impact on me. So I'm good.
And you can see the pastors going away on their walking or bicycles. Some of them walked as far as 25 miles or more to get to this place. And they were so hungry. A lot of them, to get a Bible of their own, sometimes they don't even have their own Bibles. They're just overjoyed. And yet, even without having Bibles, somehow they know most of the Bible by heart. It was incredible. We were. We left most of the bikes with the Zambia team there because they know better how to distribute them and stuff. But yeah, we were able to raise a large amount of money for bicycles, which was it 25 bicycles that we were able to buy over there or more?
I believe so. I know that they have bicycles kind of on reserve, so that Leonard Bralia, like if he knows that there's a pastor or someone who really needs it, he can provide it for them. Because he really tries to have it be something that he doesn't just give them out to anyone who asks. It's the people who need it the most. So I think, 25 is what they handed out when we were over there. But I think they have like funds to be able to purchase more bicycles whenever they need it.
So day 5, we were able to go to the police station in the capital there and just fellowship with the people there. And it's amazing because everywhere you go, there are Christians. There's a police fellowship of Christians there, and we were able to worship with them, share with them. We went to an orphan home. Well, we'll get to that. So this is there at the police fellowship. We were able to sing for them, share with them, and just to see the encouragement in their faces to be among other believers. And it was so, it's hard to see, it was something that stuck me, to see people who have such almost true blind faith. It doesn't matter what happens to them, they still trust God. They still love God and they're joyful about it. And that was just amazing to see, and these people were amazing people. This is at an orphanage. These kids are kids that have come from really bad situations. Many of them are what they call the throwaway kids. They find them in dumpsters and other places like that. And to see some of the thing, or to know some of the things that these kids had gone through was incredible. But to be able to love on them, and this little guy, his name was Gift, and he was 3 years old, but he would not show any emotion. It was like he had built up so many walls in between him and the world because he had been hurt so much that he wouldn't show any emotion. He wouldn't smile or laugh or anything. But he still understood love, and he wanted it. And it was, it was like to think of what he's already gone through in his life is amazing. This was at a seeing impaired school that we went to later that day. We went there to sing, but then they ended up singing for us, and they were incredible. It was a very encouraging time to be there. And I remember we stood there and sang, "The gospel changes everything." And that just really hit me, because for these kids, the gospel is all they have. That is what changed their life. And to have nothing else but the faith in Jesus to live on. And it was incredible, the joy that they then had. And it was, just kind of a picture of me, truly giving your life and living it out for Christ. And it was just amazing. This is at a nurses. We went to a hospital, and there was a bunch of nurses in training that we were able to worship with, and we're running out of time. So, yeah, that was a very big encouragement. This was the first youth conference and soccer clinic that we had. If you want to get kids, advertise soccer. But these young people, there was, how many do you think there was? What did they say, 400 kids? Between 300 and 400 kids, I think, that came.
I forget. 200 sounds about right.
Yeah, something like that. And they would sit there all day and listen to the Word of God, and they were so hungry for it. Nobody falls asleep. Nobody does not pay attention. And it was just amazing to see their joy, and the questions that they asked were just unbelievable. They knew the Bible better than most of us. It was amazing. Little kids that we were able to be with during that time. We were able to do our groups again, just teaching the Word of God and practical life living and stuff, and that was just a blessing. But these people are truly amazing. And the soccer clinic, we had several hundred people show up, and there was people lining the streets watching, and we just had a soccer clinic. We were able to share the gospel with them during a break, and they said many, many people came to Christ during this time. And we were able to share with the kids, and many of them made decisions also, so that was a blessing.
David,
Yes.
can you go back about 3 pictures down? Right there. Right there. For those of you who've not been to the third world, that's third world barbed wire across the top of that brick fence.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Glass is built right into the top of
Mm-hmm.
the brick wall. They just put it right in there.
Yep.
That's what we typically use with barbed wire. Does the same job.
Yep. It was everywhere. We were able to go to a soccer game then, like a professional one, and just to see the amazing difference from the rest of the city was incredible. Everything is nice and new inside, but it was a very neat experience to be able to do that. Oh yes, then one of the delicacies there is fried caterpillars, and that was a joy to eat.
One of the girls on the team, for whatever reason, she ate 31 of them. She very much liked them and amazed even the Zambians there.
They weren't actually that bad, but. Oh yeah, I had 5 or 6.
I did not.
So yes, this was the second pastors' conference and also an impromptu youth conference because there was so many people. There was between 500 and 600 pastors and other people that showed up at this conference, and they would just stand in the back. It was just overflowing, and we were able to talk with the pastors. I remember one young guy, he was a pastor that I was able to talk to, and just to hear his story, I think he had a little bit of online biblical training, but how he just goes out and preaches in these churches and leads several churches was amazing, and just his faith in God. And I remember he asked me to pray for him and to let my church know about him and pray for the ministry that they have, that we can be brothers and sisters in Christ. And that was a message I heard over and over again. You know, we are here together in this, and please pray that God would bless the ministry. I asked him some of the needs for the church. He didn't say, you know, I need more money, or transportation. He said that the Spirit of God would work and that I would understand the Scriptures better to teach the people that I have. And that was amazing. Just going through pictures of this. This was the youth conference that we had. We had kids anywhere from 16 to, I think there was a 60-year-old in there.
Wait, really?
Yeah. And we were able to talk with them. I had a chance to talk to a large group of guys here, and just the hunger for the Word of God and the knowledge of the Word of God. You would ask them their favorite thing to do, and they say, worship God and read the Bible. And it was amazing.
This is their staple food. It's called inshima. And this is a man there who's I was not there to witness this happening, so I don't know if there's more to the process. But this is him making it from hand. And it's kind of like mashed corn, like a powdered corn, and then has the consistency of mashed potatoes, but kind of a little bit flavorless. It's something that I'm only saying it because it's like so part of their culture. Like this is so much a part of who they are. It's a huge staple food, and they eat it by just like grabbing a bit, rolling it up, and like dipping it in sauce. And so that's inshima.
Everybody dips out of the same dish, the whole village, and everybody uses their hands, and it's great. We also had another impromptu youth conference. This would be Saturday of the week, I think.
Yep.
Many kids showed up for that, and that was very cool to see, younger people on fire for the Lord and able to
Kind of a funny thing, just a side note a little bit. Some of their names over there with their accents, they would say, I'd be like, hey, what's your name? And they would say their name, and I'd be like, oh, okay. I'm trying to figure out how to say it back because they're heavy accent. And so I'd say, like, I forget one. But anyways, in truth, their name would actually be like an American name. But I would hear it so differently that I would think it was like some new name, and I would say it like they did, and they'd be like, no. And and then I would finally say like the American name. I'm like, oh yeah, I got it.
So yeah, we had impact groups, and that was just amazing. The questions that they ask are very hard to answer. They're amazing. We did another kind of soccer clinic and just activity time. Then this was the last day that we were able to be in the area that we were ministering at. We split up again. This was Sunday and went to 2 different churches. This was the church that Julie was at. I don't know if you have stuff to share about that or not.
Yeah, really quick.
Okay.
So this is the church I was at. I'm right off on the end there. This is a sign language song we did there. Uncreated one, if you're familiar with that one. And then this is how they were sitting. They had these rocks that they would bring in. They'd be about this big, and they would just set it down and sit on the rock because they didn't have any other way to sit other than sitting on the floor. And all these kids in the front, or these are all kids in the front and some moms in the back. And there was more seating off to the side here. But yeah, these kids, like, it's so hard, like even with language barrier, it can be so hard to just like get to overcome that and just connect with them. But I knew that we were a singing group coming in, so after like 5 minutes of not really knowing how to connect, I walked up to them and I was like, "Hey, we're about to sing for you guys," all in translation. Do you guys know any songs? And then their like Sunday school teacher was like, "Yeah, they do." And so she made them stand up and they sang their songs for us, which was just neat to hear. So that's some of the food. I'm guessing that's at your church. They provided the meal for us to eat. This is a Sunday school class that we were able to read some Bible stories with, and that's me. I think I was sharing with them the gospel through the Bible, using the Bible story that we'd given them. This is a picture of where we stayed. These are huts, maybe similar to yurts. I'm not exactly sure. And 2 or 4 people stayed in each one. This is the Zambian team. They had a much different style of singing than we did, but it was still very interesting to hear. And then day 10 was traveling to Victoria Falls, which was an incredible part of the trip that we were blessed to be able to do. Took the entire day to travel from northern Zambia all the way to the south, where Victoria Falls was located. And this is the very last thing that we did in Zambia. We were able to be at Victoria Falls for a whole day, which gave us opportunity to visit the falls and to visit a market that was there. Because the way that they sell things over in Zambia is much different than any kind of supermarket we go to here. And so it was interesting to be able to barter with them and kind of get to know their culture through that too. Do you have anything you want to share about these pictures?
Sure, we probably should just run through them quick.
These are just a couple of pictures the day we got there. And then a day of wonder and awe at Victoria Falls. Like, it was seriously, like, I was in awe just seeing the amazing falls. That's some mist coming up over the falls. And this is a picture of the falls itself.
This is just a little piece of the falls.
Yeah, the falls itself is like a mile long, I think.
And it was incredible. The wind from the water rushing down would create an updraft, so it would bring the water back up, and it would just rain on you. It was so thick you couldn't even see.
We're soaking wet here.
Yeah. Lush jungle and...
It was gorgeous. It was beautiful.
Are there many signs of Western culture influx, or is it just all strictly in-country stuff?
At Victoria Falls?
And in general, there too, like these areas. Is there signs of,
Right. Well, many people...
or is it all just
Yeah, especially in the cities and stuff, it's, much more modern. But out in the villages, it's still... Oh yeah, the monkeys and zebras were everywhere. They would just walk through where you were eating or
Yeah,
any
you
place.
could walk right past them. One walked right in front of me. Ooh. Anyways, this was the falls. This was so beautiful. This is the bridge you walked across, and that was the moment you got soaked, as you can see. There was one moment we walked across, and there was a rainbow
If you keep on
formed
going,
right. You have it. It formed right over the bridge, and we stopped in the middle and looked over, and it actually circled the entire bridge, like a circular rainbow. It was incredible. I'm very happy and very soaked right there. This is Isaac. He's on the team. He's trying to catch a glimpse of the falls as the mist cleared. Just much like that guy.
Because David Livingstone was the first white person to discover the falls, and that's how it is named Victoria Falls. But
Could have been Isaac Federhoff. This is the top of the falls. Some of the monkeys that were there. And this is the very last picture. This is Vivian, and I thought it'd be a neat picture to end on. Just a picture of her waving, and it really is. The people that I met over there and the experiences I had, definitely have a special place in my heart. And maybe I won't ever see some of these people again, apart from eternity, apart from heaven. But I know that they impacted me, and I hope that I had an impact on them. So, do you have anything? Or you don't need this?
We're over time, way over time. Yeah, it was just an incredible experience. Thank you very much for letting us go. It was a strengthening and stretching time.
And thank you for your patience in listening to us.
Yes.